Welcome to Rock M Radio. My name is Levi Hutmacher, and I am the podcast producer here at Rock M Radio, contributor at Rock M Plus, graphic designer. I just do a lot of stuff for the Rock M universe. You're probably wondering why I'm here today. It's because we have a super special episode that we've been trying to get in the works for a while now. We finally found some time to get with the mind behind the Mizzou Mini Movies that everybody seemed to love last season, myself included. And so today we have on Robert Trombley. He was with Mizzou. Now he is outside of the college athletics creative world, taking a little bit of a break and doing something else that he is passionate about. I wanted to bring him on and kind of just walk through some of the Mizzou Mini Movies from last season to get a little bit of a behind the scenes look. What went into the production behind all of these, what went into specific moments during these games, and just to see if he had any stories that he wanted to share. And he came back with some really awesome insider info. And I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm a video producer and social media person with the University of Michigan, my day job. And so it was great just to talk through some of these video production things, and also as a Mizzou fan, just to hear the behind the scenes stories, and how they put together these awesome pieces. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Robert. All right, everybody, we got Robert here. Robert, welcome to Rock M Radio. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So my name is Robert Trombley. I am the former director of creative content for Mizzou football. I was there from around January 2023 until February of 2024. I think the thing I was most known for during that time was the introduction of the mini movie series, but also some of our hype video stuff. Not all of it. I'll talk more about that with the rest of my staff, but definitely just helping trying to lead the creative vision and kind of our rebranding of the social pages and things that we did for the 2023 season with me and a lot of help from my team.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that. And so are you still with Mizzou? Just to give kind of people like an update in the beginning, kind of where are you at right now?
So I walked away from Mizzou back in February. Not of any real like specific reason or event. I had known that I kind of wanted to take a step away from college football for a while. I kind of knew all the way, even during the season when I was making the mini movies. I just was suffering a lot of burnout. I had been to 4 schools in 4 years, moved around the country a bunch of times. I think for me, I just knew that I needed to step away and recharge and do something different and see if college football is what I wanted to do long term. So I just told Coach Drink that. He totally understood. I stood on to help the transition a little bit. We still all talk, still have a great relationship with each other. So right now I'm just pursuing my next thing, which I'm trying out being a high school teacher, where I'm going to teach career courses on interactive media. So we're going to see how that goes, and kind of just for the first time and while I'm just kind of going with the flow and having free time and just enjoying life a little bit after a kind of a whirlwind of the last decade or so, making my way up the ladder in this industry.
Yeah, the grind in college athletics for a creative is not very forgiving. You guys got a lot going on. And how big was the team at Mizzou as far as the team behind the mini movies?
So it was kind of, if I could describe it like it was an actual movie thing, it would be like I was like the producer director. So I was the one editing. I was the one making the story. Gordon, my assistant director of video, would kind of be like the director of cinematography, where he would really help me out. He was way better of a filmer than I was, and he'd also help direct the student staff around getting all the best shots. So I kind of tell him the things I'd be looking for and the things I needed storytelling wise, and he'd be the man actually on the field, making sure we're actually getting those. And then we also had like Jake Johnson, who is now full-time with Mizzou, but he was with the athletic department with Learfield originally. That was one of our filmers that really got a lot of the iconic shots that you saw this year. And then we had our graphic design team side with Patrick Peral, who's now the full director, and Declan Green, that were kind of helping things, running all the graphics and photos on social, also helped me with like the titles and the fonts and things. So yeah, I had a whole team behind me. My stuff was definitely like nailing down the story and actually editing and putting it all together. But I had a whole team behind me that was making sure we had the right pieces.
Yeah, that's a pretty big team for one sport in a college athletics. But I mean, you can see that when you put a lot of resources and effort and I guess attention behind something like that, you get an amazing product that really moves people and sticks with people and kind of makes them feel like they're a whole part of that community. Is that something that you guys intended from the beginning? And how big of a part was Coach Drink in that?
Oh yeah, it was definitely the attention. It was really a lot. It was Drink. So how this all happened? So I was at UConn the previous year, and I had been director of creative before. I'd made similar things before, but UConn was like the first time where I guess I had some more resources behind me, and I was the full creative control behind the program. And I had known some people at Mizzou that were with me at LSU because I was with LSU with Blake Baker, Olivia Olson, our director of recruiting operations. So that year I was at UConn, they were kind of talking to Drink about me because at the time, Drink and them were kind of struggling creatively. They didn't have a director. They had a couple pieces. They had like Gordon who was there, but he was like 22. No, he was a good worker, but he had no director experience, so he wasn't there yet to run a team. He is now at this point, but back then he wasn't. And then we had McLean and a couple other Nate Sam who's there now. That like it was a young team, but they like had talent, but there's no director, so it was kind of like a lot of unused resources. So the whole year they're kind of looking for a director, and Drink or someone from Mizzou called me all the way back like February of 2022, trying to pitch me, and it wasn't really the time yet. I was still very focused on UConn. I wasn't planning on leaving, and then it was December of 2022 where Drink called me personally, and he said, like, I've been seeing, because I hadn't been doing the mini movies at UConn. He's like, I've been seeing the storytelling you do. We need that here. He kind of sold me, pitched me on the program, what his vision was, where they had been at, where he felt like they were going, how they felt the year 2023 was going to be a year they really get over the hump, and they needed my talents to help, tell that story. And they just made an offer I really couldn't refuse. So then when we got there, my kind of goal was turn it into a real SEC creative department. So it's immediately we need to hire more people. We need to get more funding. We need more technology. Brad Larondo was a big part of that. He came in to Mizzou basically the same week as me, and he was a big part of being the budget guy and helping us get new budgets. And then we hired Patrick Perrault from Texas, who was skilled graphic designer and social media specialist. So he kind of took over the design and running the day-to-day social media. Me and Gordon took over the video and storytelling side, and then we just kind of went from there.
Yeah, I mean, and it was completely noticeable on the outside too. As a fan and somebody who's been following the team for a while, just seeing this uptick in attention to detail in regards to the content that's being put out, whether it's on social or, just kind of like the memorabilia or like whatever the players or staff are wearing. There's a real attention to detail almost across the board, it seemed like. So the team is huge, and you're producing these amazing products with so many assets involved. How much pre-production did you guys do?
No, a lot of it was on the fly because of the things that you're working on such tight time windows, and I think like what made the mini movies work was that since they're on such a tight time window and had to fit into such like a box, that I was able to really make unique things because I just wanted the flow of what I was feeling at the time. I didn't really have time to hesitate or overthink it. So a lot of my pre-production was almost like was done in my head during games. Like in Kansas State, we were down by a touchdown. I'm thinking like, okay, we're in like Act 3 of the mini movie right now. Like, what shot should I probably get? I should look at this player because he's been big this game. Or like, okay, I should go to Drink because this will be the big shot that we show. Or so a lot of it's like I've been doing these mini movies for a couple of years at this point, so I kind of knew my style and the things I was looking for. And I had Gordon, who was a great cinematographer, so I knew we were going to get all the shots. We were going to get good angles of every big play. So I wasn't even worried about that because they were so good at that. So for me, I was just running around going like, okay, what reaction shots do I need to get? What storytelling pieces do I need? Like, so by the time I actually sat down on Sunday and I kind of was already putting the pieces together and had the vision in my head of how the whole thing would go, then it was just throwing everything in together and then adding my music and then kind of just moving things around until I found where I wanted to go. It's kind of similar to, I always loved it's the South Park writers, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, where they did like the 6 days to air thing. Right. It was like very the similar process where it's like you have about 3 days to write it, and you just kind of go, and then whatever comes out comes out.
That's really cool. That's also, I mean, there's so much happening in those games. I'm guessing you guys are probably taking notes along the way of like specific moments or file names and stuff like that.
Yeah, so for me, in terms of the movies themselves, there's more mental notes. But on Sunday, the way we do it is on Sunday, we come in, label our footage. Everyone to log their footage on Sunday, because then I really want to start placing clips into Monday. Sunday, I was dedicated to come in the morning, labeling all my footage, so I knew where everything was, and so I could watch all of it to know like what I had in my arsenal for what I could use. And then it was really just placing down my music and timing and things like that. And then Monday is when I actually start like placing clips in, which is actually kind of the easy part. But again, a lot of like building out the story was a lot of mental notes during and after the game.
And so when these videos are done, what's the review process kind of like? Like who has their eyes on it? And like, I'm guessing it takes you a few days to edit it because there's a lot of stuff you got to put together.
So the timeline was, so again, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday was editing days. I'd usually have, and I'd be like locked in, like no one would even like, I'd be in my desk, just look at a computer for hours straight. And like everyone would be like, what's he does? Like he's making a mini movie, don't bother him. Like, and then I get done usually Tuesday night. And then I would do like subtitles, color correction, things like that on Tuesday night. And then Monday morning, I'd usually have it all ready. And then there was basically a 3-person process. It would first go to Brad Larondo, who would, he kind of knew what coaches, like the specific thing that drink, if there's anything he wouldn't like. And usually Brad didn't have anything like against it. Then Ryan Coslin, our SID, who was mainly just a like spell checker, anything like that could get us in trouble with any sponsor or just like little things like that. And then Drink was the last one. And Drink really, I don't think ever, maybe once or twice had any changes. And it was like, we're like, oh, can we just like replace this clip or like focus more on this player a little bit in the end? Like Drink was pretty much always, Drink almost was more like a spectator on them. By the end, he was more like watching them and he didn't have anything. He's just like, oh, you sent it to me, I'm going to watch it right now. He just enjoyed watching them. So it was really Brad Larondo, Drink, and Ryan Coslin that were kind of it was called the executive producers because they were the final say on it.
Yeah, nice. Did you guys deal with, so I know you use a lot of popular songs. What was your process with dealing with like copyright with music? Because I know a lot of places are really big sticklers about it, and I can't use it for my job either. But I'm just curious about that personally.
So with our agreement with Open Doors, which is like our NIL software, they also give you a like Spotify playlist of songs that you're green flag for from Atlantic Records. So a lot of those songs are Atlantic Records songs. Then other things are from APM, which is like a bunch of companies use, all the big companies use for like their non-copyright music. And then the third would be if there's like an instrumental. Sometimes you can use an instrumental that sounds like it, but it's off enough that it's not going to get flagged. And sometimes you just risk it, just because it's such a big thing. So it's definitely a combo of Atlantic Record songs we had to write to, like Bad Company was an Atlantic Record song, copyright-free music, company music. And then, if we could get away with using an instrumental that was slightly different enough, but people knew what the song was, like War Pigs in the Arkansas one. Like it's obviously War Pigs, but it's just different enough. That's not going to get flagged.
Yep, that's a fun little trick producers like to do sometimes. So I guess without further ado, we're going to try to get into looking through 4 videos. Robert I threw it up to him to pick his favorites, but we kind of wanted to go with the fan favorites too. So we went with K-State, Kentucky, which my parents and sister are actually in the video a few times. Tennessee, and then a game against Ohio State, which was my favorite personally because I grew up around a ton of Ohio State fans. Just
same,
and I know how they are. They're Ohio State fans. No explanation needed. So first up, this might take me just 1 second. I'm gonna get K-State going. All right, so first up we got K-State. Let's get it going. This was a game that I think a lot of fans were really nervous about.
Yeah, this game, I can explain it a little bit after, but this game, the electricity for this game and how the stakes for this game and the lead up was crazy.
The last Mizzou game I've been to was 2013 against A&M, against Johnny Manziel, and they clinched the SEC East. But this seemed like an unsettling excitement almost.
Okay. In this locker room, we believe in each other.
I can't find you a spot where I think advantage Missouri.
They are better. And
I think that's Gabe Diarmid. He was not happy that we put him in there. I ended up putting him in. I put him talking positively about us in the South Carolina mini movie because I felt bad. I was like, okay, sorry, Gabe. I'm going to throw you a bone later.
Missouri in his two-game set and say, look at our football program compared to you. There's no comparison. We're the elite program in this area. Double digits.
So when you're on the field filming, I guess what do you try and focus on yourself personally?
So a lot of it's like this, the facial expressions. So can you pause for a second here?
Yep.
So one thing I always like pay attention to, this one I think says a lot, is D-Rob's eyes in this. And when you're saying like the things to pay attention to, here's a little like behind the scenes story of this game. So at the hotel, before every game, we'd show them the team hype video. And usually, like, I'd be in there because I want to see, like, oh, what stuff's vibing, what stuff is the players liking. So for the next week, I knew, like, I could make adjustments. And usually when the hype video ends, the player's like, yeah, let's go, hell yeah. The Kansas State one ends, and it's dead silence. And I'm thinking, oh, crap, they must have hated it. And they all turn around and walk out the door, and this look in their eyes is kind of this look that D-Rob has. It's just like a dead, cold stare. Like we're about to win. We're about to punish these dudes. And I immediately got to the bus. I'm like, Tessa, we're going to win this. Like, these dudes are ready. And like this whole sequence in the lead up is kind of intentional to show there's no smiles. There's no laughs. There's no like, oh yeah, we're hyped. It's everyone just dead stares, because that's what it really was like. It was just this unbelievable focus, like this team that had been, spit on and doubted for years at this point, and all this anger was just fueled up, and they had nothing left to say anymore. It was just pure anger, which is kind of what I tried to get across in this opening sequence. But you can keep going. That's kind of the behind on that one.
No, that's awesome. It's a business trip.
Right now, all we're talking about is being immortal. So who you is, all for a quarter. We're gonna ride. I'm not playing. We ain't leaving on the door. I promise you. Let's get everything on.
I love this cut. It's coming up.
What's understood
Just
doesn't need to be
all
spoken.
cold
You don't need a
stares.
motivational speech
Yep.
today. All right, you're ready to go.
Love the
Remind you,
fizzle
play fast.
of the audio
Play
out
fast.
into it
Play
too.
fast. Play fast. It's your day. It's your day. Go see.
So this sequence coming up is kind of meant to be kind of like the final boss sequence in the movie, like Mizzou coming out, classical music, Kansas State comes out, the blues, like the evil empire coming out, trying to create that contrast.
Tigers and the Kansas State Wildcats, 99th meeting between the two as K-State welcomed with a chorus of boos.
It might be my favorite part of the entire movie, maybe the series right here.
No, it's great. I mean, it's like totally, like the music, sound effects, shots. I mean, you're totally capturing all the anticipation. Great.
And then this part's kind of meant to be the fake out, like we have all this hype and then they score first off a lucky catch. Like, oh, let's just get good last year. They're gonna, but the difference between this and last year now is these guys are ready. This doesn't faze them.
7-0.
Will Howard that wasn't actually from that play by me. It looked like it was for dramatic effect.
Okay.
Will Howard laughing at people. Okay, so this. Oh, go ahead.
It's the part where you want to pause right before the big touchdown.
Yeah, so kind of the whole mini movie is building up to this part, and this part I feel like a lot of Mizzou fans can agree on. It's like the inflection point where everything changes, not only for the season but the program. And I really wanted to give off this vibe that almost the ball is hanging in the air, and everything that came along with that game is hanging in the air right before that ball drops. And when that ball drops, we know everything has changed, because the entire lead up is kind of solemn, suspenseful. It's like a little bit of doubt, it's anger, it's confusion. And then as soon as that ball lands in Luther's chest and it goes from, it's triumphant, we're about to, beat them. It's going fast paced where everyone's on the same page. So if you want to point to the point where like the season changes, all the mini movies change in tone. It's literally this sequence right here. And that was all very intentional. So you could play that. Definitely want to get that point across.
Yeah, for sure.
Going.
Looking for a little more rhythm in this passing game than what we saw the first 2 weeks.
It kind of sucks all the air out of the room.
Behind the defender. Touchdown, Missouri.
And then everything changes.
Yep. Brady gets a little swag.
And it's really also like every main mini movie kind of has a main character, or at least tries to. Brady Cook is definitely the main character of this mini movie because this whole mini movie is somewhat of a Brady propaganda piece because people were being so freaking negative towards him in the lead up to this game. And Brady, like, I mean, it was a superhero performance in this game.
Kansas State regains the lead.
How was he feeling before the game? Pretty much like the rest of the team, just like kind of locked in.
Oh, Brady's always locked in, and like I kind of tried to convey this in the first 2 mini movies too, which is like Brady's always calm and collected. Like him and Drink are very similar personalities that even when it seems that they should be down because the narrative around them so bad, they never let this phase them.
Yeah.
And everyone on the team knew Brady was the guy. He was the guy in training camp that was making all the throws, that was doing the best. Like, there was no doubt anyone in the organization that Brady was the guy.
6 different receivers that popped it up.
Yeah, it was really cool to see him.
Loved to start the game.
Ryan, this past season,
feeling really confident right
Totally
really
shifted him in.
this whole team this year. Oh, yep.
So that was kind of meant to be like the war sequence, the ringing in the ears, the muffled audio, trying to really emphasize because you see the slow mo on that, his knee got bent completely backwards. So this was another big thing when I was editing this in my head before I made it. It's like we need to get this Brady injury narrative going because he was in a lot of pain. And Drink at halftime was playing. He wasn't playing when Sam Horn. He basically told Sam Horn like, "Be ready to go because we don't think Brady can play." And Brady just said, "I'm not coming out," and he kept playing.
First, Missouri responding.
Rough it out. Yeah.
Brady Cook can move a little bit better when he comes out of the tunnel.
When like these types of things are happening, are you thinking about like what sound effects am I going to add this, like kind of add to the production value?
Yeah, like I mean, a lot of the sound effects are so important. Like I said, when he got injured, I'm like, how am I going to make this really emphasize to the audience how much pain he's in? So that's why, like, what happens when guys get injured, like in the movies, like you get ringing in your ears. It seems like everything slows down and it's muffled. So that was like one of those things in the locker room. Same thing, like slow down the music to really let those words speak for themselves, and then now bring the drama back up with the music.
Going offensively.
And of course, when Brady throws the ball, there's always a whipping sound effect, like it's a rocket launcher. The most petty thing I do is when the opposing quarterback throws the ball, I don't give him a whipping sound effect.
Yeah,
I make it sound like it's always a lame duck. Yes.
What was it like filming Luther? Because he is pretty exciting. Watch.
Luther is his own content calendar. Like he's always doing something. A lot. Sometimes it's not. You can't put it on a mini movie because it's pretty profanity laden. Oh, this was the catch. There's another great moment in the huddle. One of those drives where we had on the screen we had the Let Brady Cook graphic that I made that had like a Top Gun with the sunglasses, and Brady looks up and he goes, "What the hell is that?" And he looks at me at the camera. Oh, this is the Gordon Meyer shot right here, that Luther touchdown.
You guys show these to the team before they get to the public?
Say that again.
Do you show these to the team before they get to the public?
No, the team are the first ones to see it. I'm sorry, they would see it at the same time as the public. It's really only me and Drink, Lorando, and Cosm that will see them first.
45 K-State, 30-15.
Probably pretty fun to see their reactions.
Yeah, I wish I could, but I also feel like I get so much anxiety if I did that. Looking at all the reactions.
Yep. 25 left.
This part really trying to emphasize the franticness of it. That doing way faster pace, just jumping play to play.
That's Andy Pete first out after the
This is a little technical, but you guys are probably shooting 60 or 120 frames.
120 frames, and then I edited it down to 24. So now send me at that. So can you pause about here during this sequence?
Yep.
So people, talk about the kick sequence and Charlie Brown by Coldplay coming in, and I actually edited this mini movie backwards. So the first thing I did was edit this sequence in because I knew because I kind of self-imposed that 10-minute time limit because I don't want any fluff in there. It's kind of similar like TV writers. Some TV writers like a 22-minute runtime because it keeps everything tight. I kind of use the same with the mini movies. So going into this, I knew it's I need to have as much time as possible for this final little kick, let it breathe so it's not rushed. So I start with that, and then everything else has to confine to it. And the song Charlie Brown by Coldplay was I knew from when the kick went in, I'm like, that's a song. That's what we're using. And so I built this
songs too. So when I was like, oh yeah, this is great.
It's a callback to my first video that I made when I got to Mizzou was the home video that used this song as the big emotional thing. So it was I knew I had that song in Arsenal and the fans already had an emotional connection to it. And then we're on the sideline for this. And now it's everyone, I'm telling Gordon, go get player reactions. I'm trying to find drink. And then I'm recording him. And then the 2 number 8s on the field thing, he runs away from me. So I don't even get a shot. And then I'm looking on the sideline going, where's drink? Where's drink? I don't even see the ball go in. I don't even know the ball's kicked until I just hear a bunch of screaming and people running in different directions. So I just take off in the direction that Nevis went and found them at the huddle. That I didn't even get a chance to celebrate that kick. It was so much chaos. I didn't even realize we really won the game until I looked behind me and the field was just covered in students. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a field storm. What's going on right now? We're just complete chaos.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome though. That just being in that is it's a type of rush that's really hard to explain when you're able to capture those moments on camera, even if it is a little stressful, but it's still it's a massive thrill. It's really cool.
Yeah. And I was debating. My biggest debate when making this was, do I leave the drink? There's 2 number 8s on the field clip in, because my rule in the mini movies is usually this is a Trey Parker writing thing I learned from him, which is good stories. They're filled with buts and therefores. A sort of has a bunch of and then is usually a boring story. Is too much fluff. So the rule in the mini movies is usually if it doesn't tie into the overall narrative or it doesn't relate to the scene before and the scene after it, I usually don't leave it in because it just feels that's just there for the sake of being there.
Yep. And
that shot kind of is there for the sake of being there because it doesn't really tie in later. But I think, one, the fans were curious of why there was a flag down because that was a big discussion that week was why there was a flag down. 2, I think fans were curious why Drake was sprinting up to the referee during the kick and why he was doing that. And 3, I thought it was just kind of a cool little behind-the-scenes shot that I feel was going to be a legendary moment. It kind of needed to be in there.
Right. No, that was great. I mean, even I remember seeing the flag in the field and being a lifelong Mizzou fan thinking, oh, great. Something bad happened again, and this is going to be taken away.
Exactly.
But, no, yeah, I think you captured it great. And I'll get it started here again so we can watch together.
So now they sit on Harrison Beavis, 61.5 officially.
Gonna miss Harrison.
Boy, I tell you, he makes this kick. We will be talking about this for the rest of our lives.
Harrison Beavis.
Well, Andy Lutz.
Good snap.
It also kind of emphasizes the chaos of the moment because we were so focused on the 2 number 8s on the field, we weren't even watching the kick. So then, suddenly it's we're all focusing and I was oh, throw the flag. And we're oh, wait, it's going to go in. Never mind.
Yeah. Charlie Brown comes in at a perfect moment. I'm not sure if you played around with different parts of it coming in.
Oh, yeah. I re-edited this sequence probably 50 times.
No, that was it ramps up at the part. Well done.
A lot of people said it's similar to Moneyball, which I didn't directly feel like Moneyball, but after seeing the Moneyball scene, I'm I probably unintentionally probably did that, but it's also kind of a sports movie trope that the ball hangs in the air and everyone watches it. And
what does this one mean to you?
Oh, this part always gets me. There's a big thing with drink. is like, no matter how much, because that lead up after Middle Tennessee week, like the amount of negativity and stuff that was towards us, and how much he was catching so much flack, and how many people were down him, and he never the whole week showed any sign of doubt or any sign. I mean, that dude was just exactly what you want out of a leader. So that moment where he finally kind of let himself be emotional and admit like how tough that week was, that was nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's perspectives about Drake might have changed a little bit after this year. He's just a passionate guy and just wants to see a team and players succeed and do well.
Drake, in terms of like leaders, is probably of coaches that make you want to run through a wall. He might be the best I've worked under, just because he's not like your typical rah-rah guy. He's like a realist. He's not gonna like be that overly positive vibe where you almost get like you feel it's inauthentic. He's a realist where he's going to tell you what it is, but he's going to give you a reason why you should hope. So, especially during that Middle Tennessee week, like after that game when like everything was so negative, like if he had shown any sign of doubt or any sign of like it was getting to him or he had doubt, then we might have been screwed. But the whole week, he was the same drink that was like that we'd seen every week, and he was kind of. And that was the other parts of the season and games where he lost and came back and won the next week. It was that same thing where he was always the rock, where he wouldn't like be overly positive to the point where like it would kind of make you mad because you're like, hey, we're sad right now. He'd be sad, but he'd be strong. So he was the guy that had to be strong for everyone. So he was a really powerful guy to work for.
That's cool. That's great. So next up we have got the Kentucky mini movie, right? Is that next in order? Week 7, yeah. All right, we're on the Kentucky mini movie next up, and so we're going to get right into that. This was one my parents went to, so we might see him at the end. I don't remember if it was this or on the broadcast that they're in it, but yeah, this movie was fun for me. I have a lot of friends who are also Kentucky fans, and anytime Mizzou gets a chance to beat them, great.
He's my favorite. Makai Miller in front of a Miller.
Oh yeah.
I like how one fan saw that on social media. It's like, I got that. I'm like, did anyone get it? Makai Miller, a Miller bus, get it?
How do you feel like this group is able to bounce back from its first defeat of the season?
Well, I think we'll find out.
This scene, post LSU loss. That's kind of what I'm talking about with Drink, where he was acknowledging that it hurt, but it still felt like we were being strong. It's like it hurts, but we're going to overcome. That feeling of not necessarily feeling sorry for ourselves, but also not being positive to the point of being unrealistic.
Yeah, and I think even like content production planning, it's kind of important. It was the first loss of the season. It was the first week that he'd missed mini movies, but kind of being able to call back and like,
it's always a rule to like. I've never done many movies after losses, and people always kind of wanted them this year. Maybe they would have made sense this year because their 2 losses were close games. But it's a slippery slope because then what if you lose 55-0, and now you don't make a mini movie, and now you look like a bunch of wusses because you didn't make one. So it's kind of like it's easier just to go, we only make them 4 wins.
Yep.
On this homecoming evening in Lexington, it's the crowd roars.
And I always try to the next week, like same with after Georgia when we lost, like give the fans something from the week we missed to show the story progression, not just like not acknowledge it. Because the big thing storytelling is you have to overcome something, like, which I think is the problem with a lot of storytelling. With like this sequence is a great example of like how we come out and we kind of suck. It's like I feel like a lot of sports storytelling the teams do. It's all like, oh, we got. I think it's because coaches want that. They just want to look strong all the time. But if you look strong all the time, it's not compelling. Like you look stronger if you overcame something difficult. You became better because of it, not because if you're just coming out winning and doing cool all the time, no one cares. Like you're just making yourself look good.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to have that buy-in too from coaches and people in athletics and the team to be able to get them to trust you with telling their story is pretty big and can often be rare in athletics. And you guys have amazing access.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down, I think, me and Drink had a good personal relationship, and he knew that I was always dedicated to making the team. I was always, all I cared about was making the team look good. He knew if there was something like this that I had a plan, If I'm showing this playing bad, there's a plan that's going to come back together. So
somehow.
Now that shot of Marquise looking at the camera before the punt, that was not intentional. I did not know Marquise was going to get the ball. It was all luck.
Yeah.
Bauer wants to throw it. Fade pattern, throw it to the left side. Leaping grab Johnson.
Just an insane play.
Marquise Johnson, who made it.
That was again. None of us knew that was coming. We had like Jake Johnson got the shot of Marquise running to the field before the play. None of us knew. Like it was just all pure luck that we just happened to have focus shots on Marquise.
Yeah. So that one was, you guys didn't know that was coming, but are there times in games where like any coach or assistant will give you a heads up like, hey, something's coming? Are they pretty much locked in?
They're all locked in. I mean, once you start working for a team, being around them, you can start. And you're there at practice all week, so you might have a hint. You may see them practicing a certain play, or you're in meetings and you know the strategy, so you know like something might be coming. But now, in game, they're all locked in. You might overhear something in a huddle that they're telling to a player to maybe.
Here in the first half, with the football back.
So this kind of sequence kind of like heist music, because it did really kind of feel like a heist that we came out with the lead in this half, because it looks so bad.
The Tigers have the lead. With 15 seconds.
This game got pretty rainy, didn't it?
Oh yeah, and that's why all the fans left, which I'm sure is why it's the fan favorite, because it is just a Kentucky hit piece on the Kentucky fans.
Started with a 39-yard big punt, perfect pass.
Once we get to that part, I'll probably ask you to pause so I can go over that story.
This game changed thanks to that play in particular. Ted Lasso's wearing a visor tonight. Boy, got a fun one. It's weathering the storm. I know they get such a cliche.
Dirk is like the real life version of Ted Lasso.
Say that, but that's what the SEC is. You get a weather.
I think I got to take partial credit for him watching that show, because we were on our way to the Senior Bowl, and I had this Ted Lasso phone case. And he's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Ted Lasso." He's like, "Is that a good show?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a great show. You love it, Coach."
Yeah. Start fast right here, D.
I mean, even from the intro sequences in Ted Lasso, that is dancing on camera, Drink did similar stuff with App State in the locker room.
Yeah, I'm a big Ted Lasso guy, so there's a lot of intentional Ted Lasso type sequences and allegory in these things.
Nice.
Barry Brown on the jet sweep. Running back gets outside, hit at the 29, stopped at the 30. Top screen late, recovered by Missouri. Tigers put the turnover Missouri's first bubble.
This sequence itself, yeah, like I always find funny with this main movie's a favorite because of just how mean it gets towards the end. So like this was like such a weird third quarter where it was kind of like a boring third quarter. And then it's kind of funny how this thing picks up so much towards the end. And all it is like a 38-21 victory. It's not even really like intensive. I mean, you can already see half their student section is gone, even when they have a 21-20 lead. Because Kentucky fans tried to deny that their fans left, and like we kept receipts because we knew they were going to do that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Mizzou just like really turned it on. Third, fourth quarter, it was nuts.
Yeah. In this sequence, yeah, like I always like music-wise, try to keep the tone realistic. I'm not trying to be over dramatic. Like this isn't a super dramatic exchange right now, so like it's kind of swaggy music, but it's not like, oh my god, this is the. Because I think a lot of video editing, people like put really dramatic songs over everything, which means that the dramatic moments don't actually feel dramatic. It's kind of like, okay, you can pause right here. Here it is. Yeah. So this is important. So we first kind of started noticing fans leaving around like the time the game was tied, we're like, that's weird. Like this is the game. Why are they leaving? And then we scored that touchdown, and then Gordon comes up to me. He's like, look behind you. There's fans in droves just heading towards the exits. Like they're only down by a touchdown. And I go, record that. And then he's like, and record the scoreboard too, so we can have like a receipt. Because I knew we needed a receipt to show people like, no, this wasn't like we weren't like moving around clips. We weren't showing them leave at the end of the game and acting like we weren't lying. This is when they were actually leaving the game. And as soon as that hit, and as soon as like, oh, if we start beating down them, this is just going to be what the movie's about, was us just emptying out their stadium. So then the rest of this game, besides getting the actual film in between plays, all I was doing is going around filming fans leaving. I went to the concourse. I went to go film fans leaving. I originally was going to I had so many fans flipping me off, so many Kentucky fans. I was thinking about putting those in, but I didn't want to like get anyone fired from their job and publicly embarrassed. So I was like, that's a little too mean. Yeah. I was just like, this entire mini movie now is going to be dedicated to embarrassing these fans because they were so annoying the first two quarters. They were so rude to us, and they were so arrogant the whole game. So then, yeah, the tone shift, and I kind of I wanted to use that BB King magic. Is it BB King? Might not be BB King. We had the rights to that through Atlantic Records, and I love the movie The Sandlot, which has that scene. So I was like, I gotta find a way to use this. It needs to be in like a comedic sense, like an ironic comedic sense. And as soon as that happened, like I know where the song's going. It's good. And there's a part coming up where we all sang, "It's a Party to Grove Street" by Waka Flocka, because that's their song. And then I had the shot of all the fans looking sad. I even had a little raining sound effect, so it's like they're standing sad in the rain, just a little like the downpour on them. The movie gets pretty mean.
That is hilarious. You can almost make a mini movie of sad Kentucky fans.
Yeah.
All right, picking back up.
Play action fake, rolling back to the right on the bootleg, hit by Darius Robinson, and brought down and sacked is Leary.
Yeah, so tone shift doesn't come yet. It's still trying to emphasize like they're losing momentum, but it's not completely. They're still only down by a touchdown. The beatdown doesn't really start until Cody scores that touchdown.
You could tell the team was just really feeling it.
Them all sad, staying in the rain. And then this was a very funny shot to me. Theo getting the PI and laughing and smiling at their sideline, and then Luther taunting their crowd.
He's got to be a good troll.
Luther is him and Drink were made for each other because they're the best trolls, and that's how I could get away with making this and get it because Drink is such a troll. But he's like, oh yeah.
35-21 lead with the
I mean, this song with the rain footage, I think, is like perfect.
Yeah, it's all someone described it as slapstick comedy, and that's kind of the vibe I was going for.
Yeah, with the Truman dancing with the sad fans in the back.
I think that was Warren. That was such a good shot. He showed me that after the game. Like, oh my god, this is gonna be the greatest sequence ever when we showed this. It's so, I go back and look at this. Is so mean. I can't believe they let me do this.
Oh, it's perfect. It's great.
Looking downfield now, steps, glance of feet, once an intercepted. He's already stepped out of bounds. Chris Abrams drained in a late.
And it's all kind of building up. I mean, they pushed it out. But it's kind of like, I mean, they were chippy. The fans were obnoxious.
Oh, that's my dad.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah.
I love that guy. I knew as soon as I got that, I got to put that in. It's hilarious. So, yeah, it's all building up to that final shot. That was me. I just, did the pan around the whole stadium.
He extends the lead to 17.
Again, we're only up by 17 points. It's not like we're up by 50 here.
Brought down at the 3.
And I mean, and the music's comical, but it's all meant to, this tone shift. After LSU, when we lost, our first loss, everyone was kind of like, oh, is the fun over? Is this going to be a 7-5 season now? And maybe we starts kind of the same solid mood. Like, maybe it is over. Maybe this is going to be a bad season now. Maybe we've lost it. And then we have this very triumphant, funny, lighthearted ending. Because it's like, hey, it's all right. We're going to be all right. The season's still on track. So it's kind of trying to give the fans this little happiness. Like, don't worry, guys. We're going to be all right.
Yeah. I also like that you caught the point where Drink was telling Brady to just kneel it.
Yeah.
Because the next video that we're going to watch after this one, Tennessee one, there was a little bit of revenge there.
Yeah.
You enjoy the hell out of this. Oh, hey.
Yeah, so I think really my goal of this is just trying to show everyone the team kind of had their mojo back after the LSU loss. So it's that feeling of hey, see, this is still going to be a very good season, even if we're not undefeated anymore.
Yeah.
Coach Lucas. Coach Lucas is the most running backs coach that's I've ever lived.
No, that was great. Yeah, so, pretty fun one coming after a loss. Next we got Tennessee coming up. That was coming after the Georgia loss, right?
Yeah, so that was after the Georgia loss. So I can give some background on this one before we start, so I don't talk over it for that opening sequence.
Yep.
So we lose to Georgia. First of all, Drink has that amazing pregame speech before Georgia. That I'm like, oh my God, we need to win because this is the greatest speech I've ever heard in my life. And we don't win. So I'm like, well, I got to find a way to use this somehow because this can't just sit not ever being used. It's the greatest speech I've ever heard. But we do lose. I feel like we kind of got screwed by the refs that game, whatever. But so the next week, we shift gears. On that Monday, Drink calls me when I'm driving to work. He's like, "You ever seen the movie Tombstone?" I'm like, "Drink, my middle name is literally Wyatt. I'm named after Wyatt Earp." Like this. I've seen the movie Tombstone. He's like, "Oh, so you know like the part like the hell is coming with me part? I need you to do something for me." It's like, "I need you to cut out that scene for me. I need you to superimpose. Can you like do like an AI thing where you put like, you know, you change out the voices?" So I did an AI. I took an AI of Kevin Costner's voice and changed it to like, "The bowls are finished. Do you understand me?" And then did an AI where I don't remember what the words are, but I'd like switched out some of the words and then put it next to them running up the score on us. And then we showed it to the team that week. And so that's what I think it was Reese Davis was talking about College Game Day, because I guess Drink told them about it on the interview. And my general rule in the mini movies is if it's shown to the public prior to the mini movie, that's fair game. So it's like, I'm not revealing anything that's, you know, in the team that the public doesn't know about because Drink told Reese about it. So now it's like, now it's all fair game. I can do this whole storyline. And Drink, the day I was making the mini movie, he was like, "Are you going to use the hell is coming with me thing?" And like, "I think I'll find a way, coach." So we were all on the same page that this week, especially after I'd already like pushed the line of Kentucky, that we knew that we were kind of trolls at this point. I'm like, I'm going to go all out. This Tennessee one is just going to be all about revenge. I do think this is probably the most complete mini movie in terms of like having a story that really ties itself together, an entire arc from start to end that kind of neatly tied itself together. But I can understand why the fans like this one the most usually.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun one. I think it was, I think this one was my favorite one as well. Let me go ahead and get it started. Let's see.
And it's the opening shot that you're showing. You know, I need to pause for it. So this was all planned. We could keep it going. I could talk over this part. But, like these little callback shots with the sound effects and the riser effects, these are all planned out before the game even started. Like I was like, if we win this game, this is how the opening sequence is going to be. I had it mapped out for days.
Yeah, they will.
Yep.
You think this is just victory formation?
Basically, as soon as I had to watch this thing, like for Drake to put it in a clip for him, I was rewatching the sequence from last year over and over again. Like, how do I make this? So it's almost like it's like kind of like a dream sequence. Because then we do like the riser, and it goes right back to Drake and the bus, like we're inside Drake's head.
Brain.
Good afternoon and welcome
And then the transition.
I love that class.
Top 15 matchup with Tennessee.
I think this is a very weird thing, but that's like one of my favorite shots of the whole mini movies. It's just simple and clean, and like he's just in his head preparing.
Yeah.
This team has a lot left to fight for.
Another great example of Drake after a loss, just
You got proof that now.
being realistic, acknowledging our sadness, but also saying, "Hey, we're gonna be all right." So the song "Bad Company" was chosen because it's a callback to Uncut Diamonds, and not a lot of people watch Uncut Diamonds, but it was meant to. That song I use a lot because it is kind of like ties up the whole arc starting with Uncut Diamonds all the way to the mini movies.
Yeah. Sure.
And while SCT is their season mantra, each week they come up with a new saying. Guys, for today's matchup against Tennessee, it's 4 quarters of hell.
And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Ain't about these damn cameras. Ain't none of these guys wanted to be here.
That was all about is the SEC network cameras were there that game because they were covering that game for their own documentary, and Drew was basically just crapping on them to their faces while they were in the locker rooms. He wasn't like on us about us as cameras, but more like SEC network didn't want to be there until now.
Yeah.
That was a little callback there. The fans cheering Brady's introductions. That was a callback to the fans booing Brady at the Kansas State game.
It's just us.
Oh, this song's perfect too for just this like intro, and then like all these clips of like
trying to just get off that like matchup with the Tombstone old Western vibe of just getting revenge on someone that crossed you. You know, the idea of a bunch of bad dudes out for revenge.
Right.
I tried to always with these mini movies, like never fall into too many like same patterns. Like I always try to differ up the feel, like the song selection a little bit, or at least just vibes. Like some of them you wanted to start swaggy, other ones you wanted to start like more revenge based, others you want to be more like comedic moments. Sometimes you want like dramatic, like NFL films moments.
Use this line. He's going to throw it.
They were cooking from the start. They were like, you know.
And in this game, this is when I started the first half of these, just to do like more highlights in the first half. Because of like, I always had to save more time for the second half because we had so many second half dramatics.
Good snap, good place. Kick is up.
I think it was the first time where I didn't use score bugs in the first half, where we just kind of speed through the first half narrative.
Yeah.
30 gets to 35, right side of it, 45.
There's similar sequences to you know, a little portion of Kentucky of like they're doing work, they're getting stuff done.
Yeah.
And they have good rhythm going.
Right. Yeah, like, you know, it's, you know, again, like I always think a problem with a lot of editing with sports stuff is just people always try to just make everything dramatic. Everything is big, cinematic song and, you know, rap song that's like all we're swaggy, like, you know, in moments where you're not really supposed to be. Like this moment, I try not to make it more dramatic than it is. It's just a simple song. We're taking care of business right now. We're just doing some work right now. Like once it gets dramatic, we're trying to encapsulate feel, and then we'll switch it up. But like same with like the Kansas State game is almost all dramatic music because that game is a dogfight. It's just haymakers. There's just drama the entire time. Other games, there's boring moments. There's lulls. Like you don't want to make it all look like it was just the greatest game ever. You got to be realistic. You don't want to insult the audience's intelligence. It's like, I was surprised how these guys were always so cool. Let me put a camera in their face while they're just talking.
Cody was insane this game. We just
yeah. When I talk about main characters in the mini movies, Cody is the main character in this one. And then that's what I say, like a lot of people want to use rap all the time. I wanted to wait for right moments like this where like you throw in an NBA Youngboy song when we're beating down some dudes, we're out and we're taking care of business, you know? When we're full of swag and confidence, because that's what hip hop is do, is swag and confidence. You're not always feeling confident. Sometimes you have moments of doubt. But right now we're rolling.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome that you guys have that, or the open doors allows you to use some of these songs because, like, that's sometimes a crutch in filmmaking is like, especially if you're not like a big time filmmaker or whatever, you just kind of got to use whatever music you can get your hands on or whatever cheap subscription service you get.
I love this shot of Trinkle's on one this way game. Yeah, Cody was on one this game.
He throws it underneath. He's got
So Luther did the most insane thing I couldn't put on camera because it was so insane. In the previous play, he stole the Tennessee DB's towel, scored that touchdown, took the towel out of his gear, and then waved at the Tennessee sideline as he's going back to the sideline. And they didn't penalize for him, but they told Drink about him. They were like, hey, tell him to chill. And Drink, and that's him. That's what he's referencing when he's playing. He's referencing what he just did. But Drink basically told him, like, hey, that's hilarious, but don't do that again because you're getting flagged.
Yeah.
Looking to the right, throws it underneath.
This is Gordon Myers' field run shot right there. That didn't come out.
Lots of that.
He had a run-in, and he literally, when Galen called, he sprinted down the sideline with him.
I love it. Hats off to
Now on YouTube, they cut up. They wouldn't let us use the Cole's song, even though we had the rights to it. So in the YouTube version, it doesn't have the lyrics. So if any of you ever trying to watch the mini movies, you know, with the original version of Tennessee, it's still on Twitter and Facebook. But on the YouTube version, the Cole's song is just
victory formation, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping so. Yeah, Tennessee has called a timeout.
Call back to the dream sequence.
Yeah, those ramp up and down sound effects are great for those callbacks and like separating periods of time.
Yeah, it's almost like we're like trying to show that we're leaving the current scene. Like you need something to signify we're time jumping, or else it just seems weird.
Yep.
Instead, the Cole's song can't play for this part, but it is on Twitter and Facebook. Because the lyric in the Cool as Ice song that I love the most, I kept in there because I kind of rearranged the song lyrics. And the part where he says you're gonna pay the price, I know, and then right when so the lyrics are "You're as cold as ice, you never take advice, you're gonna pay the price." So then that was the lyrics I specifically chose out.
And I would say it was 4 quarters of hell for Tennessee. A good point.
The commentators also did a great job of building that narrative. So that's another thing. It's like it wasn't even like we were reaching, like attacking for this. Even the commentators agreed with like what Tennessee did was egregious, and that they needed to put like this.
Yeah. Was I'm guessing stand on business was something that was talked about throughout the week leading up to this game with the team.
Yeah, stand on business. We got to basically saying was taking care of business, but just a more singing way to say it. But yeah, that was the theme of the week. Besides quarters of that.
That dream come true for that kid.
And then tone change, get to a more sentimental feeling.
Be eternally grateful for the rest of my life to this university, to Coach Drink.
I'm very big on introducing a lot of song switches because there's so many tone changes throughout a football game.
No, definitely.
Like you got to build drama.
A lot of people don't understand that we had to.
Then adding in the little touch about Cody's story and journey.
We put in, but coming where we came from.
Yeah, main character was the Tennessee Mini Movie Cody Schrader.
Inspiring kids that don't get these opportunities to just bet on themselves.
Yeah, and that was sprinkled in throughout the whole movie. Just like little clips of Cody, teammates, asking how many yards he's got. Like you guys did a great job of, just reminding the viewer who's the main character in this, whether it was or like without it being too intentional.
Yeah, I don't know if this is my favorite Mini movie, but it definitely is the best one I did in terms of sticking to a story narrative and just keeping on it and not ever getting off topic. Like it's definitely the cleanest story-wise.
Nice.
But it's also easy when you have such, a simple narrative to tell that everyone knows about. Where it's like a lot of these games, I kind of have to create a narrative. Like, when we barely beat Middle Tennessee, I got somehow like, oh, well, we kind of lost to them 10 years ago. We almost lost to them 20 years ago. I guess I could work with that. Sometimes you really got to reach and try to build something. That game, there's nothing to try to think of. It was we know what this has to be.
Yep. And so next up, we've got our last one that we're going to go through, the Cotton Bowl mini movie. Against Ohio State. I don't know if you want to give any intro to this one or if there's anything beforehand. I guess you went in knowing that this was going to be your last.
I did, and Drink knew it was going to be my last one. Really, everyone knew it was going to be my last one. I knew it was going to be the last mini movie because I told Drink on National Signing Day in December that was my last time, and I still was fish on my time. He came up to me right before we left. He was like, "The Cotton Bowl changed your mind with this freaking cowboy hat on." He's like, "So no, I'm sorry, Coach." And I will say there's something that's not in the mini movie because when we showed the team the video, so basically the unspoken rule me and Drink always had was once we leave that hotel, anything's fair game unless told otherwise, unless he especially goes, "Don't put that in," or whatever. So the last meeting in the hotel where we all watch the video and he gives his last speech and we do a prayer is very intimate team moment. And I remember him talking to us and then him just being like, "No, this is the last time we're gonna get to do this." And there's just this emotion in the room where everyone's just on the verge of tears. We all just kind of looked at each other being like, "Wow, we've been on a hell of a journey, haven't we, guys?" And I just remember all of us welling up and it was very powerful moment where there's 85 grown men in this room, 6'5" football players, and we're all just sitting there on the verge of tears. It's the last time we're all going to do this together. And, it's this. He's like, "No, this team will never, it's never going to be the same team again. It's the last time."
Right.
So it's a very emotional game. Good one. But yeah, we can start it.
This one was also fun for me. I know we talked about it a little bit ago, but just nerve-wracking going into a game against Ohio State, a team that I talked crap against my entire life, and talked crap against my friends who are big Ohio State fans. So going into this one, I was very nervous and a little nerve-wracking to see what would happen and to see if I could continue trolling them for the following years.
all I can think of is if this is my last game of college football, my career working college football, there's no better way to end it than beating Ohio State. It's the perfect way to end our
Yep, and a lot of the media in Ohio was like, "Oh, Ohio State's not at full strength. They're not this. They're not that. They're not gonna. They'll still be able
Well, it's
to."
funny because was it Kyle? Not Kyle Travis. What was his name? Kyle McCord.
Yep.
They all dumped on him the whole season, saying he sucked. And as soon as he transfers, we don't have a quarterback. It's like you guys said you hated your quarterback all year. Like, it's crazy. And then we had we went out to get drinks with some Ohio State staffers a night or two before the Cotton Bowl, and they're all like, "Yeah, but we still got Cardinal Tate. He's a 5-star. It's 5-star." And then they're kind of like making little side conversations, like these Missouri guys really think they're going to beat us, things like that. Like even Ryan Day at the the media events was like just kind of dismissive. So it's very satisfying to beat these guys.
Yep. All right, so I'll go ahead and get it started.
Years in Mizzou football history. Wraps up in
Song is Texas Tea by Post Malone, instrumental.
11 win season ever, and their second ever win against one of the marquee names in college sports.
The most impressive thing about this game, how we even make this mini movie, was there's only three of us filming this. It's me, Gordon Meyer, and Jay Johnson. We for example, the Kansas State mini movie maybe had 10 filmers. It was just 3 guys, and I don't even film the game actually. I'm just getting supplemental, so it's really just 2 guys on the field filming the game. No, Ohio State had like 8 people, so we were massively outnumbered in terms of.
Was it sort of like a cost thing about sending that many people?
Yeah, it was just because creatively we had our 2 graphic designers and we had our videographers, 3 videographers, so that was 5 creatives because we didn't have a separate photo team. So that was kind of like we had, since everyone was under the same umbrella in creative, we couldn't bring 10 creative guys, even though there were only 3 for video specifically. So it's just kind of like a numbers thing. But, eventually just ran out of room.
They've recruited at an elite level. How tough is this for Missouri tonight?
Trying to establish them as a threat. Always a big thing in mini movies. If your opponent doesn't look like a threat, then what does it even mean if you beat them?
Right.
It's like wrestling. I always base this on pro wrestling, because I grew up watching pro wrestling. If you make your opponent look like a chump, if you beat them, you're no good. And if you lose them, you're a bigger chump than them. So even if it's like an FCS team, you still got to make it look like somewhat of a challenge.
Yep.
The one thing that I was really impressed with was spending time with
pretty good speech. So big reason this one's 21 minutes. So when I knew this was the last mini movie, so I kind of wanted to give the fans, for everyone watching the pay-per-view, reward, be like, all right, no time limits on this one. You're gonna let everything breathe. And 2, being able to do things like this where I didn't have to cut parts of speeches out for time, I got to just show basically the whole thing.
Okay, you earned it through a lot of hard work. You earned it through up downs. You earned it in the wilderness. You earned it when your brother was late. You had to fight for the brotherhood. You learned it on the bleachers. You've earned the opportunity to be here today to show the world who we are. They call them blue bloods because they've been given everything their entire life.
Such a good speaker.
Yeah. We're wilderness forged. Forged in the toughness. Our time's over. It's our time. It's your time.
I spent maybe a whole day trying to figure out the song to put behind this. The day after the game, I drove. We got back at 4 a.m. after this game. I immediately got in the car and drove to Ohio to be there for New Year's. So on the way back from Ohio to Missouri, I was just listening to songs, trying to figure out what songs I was going to use for this. And I found that song. I'm like, that is the speech song. Right there.
Both these teams.
And Drink knows he's a good speaker. When I was making that movie that week, he's like, "You gonna put that whole speech in there?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Good." He knows he's like that. That was a good speech. That's the best speech I've ever written. So yeah, I'm kind of going back to the old school rock, kind of a callback to the Bad Company, In the Air Tonight sequences in the other rooms. Yeah. One thing I wonder if people notice is a lot of the song choices and scene choices are kind of an ode to the other mini movies. There's a lot of tributes to previous mini movies that are kind of worked in. Where it might be Bad Companies, we haven't knows, of course that one, but then other ones he made. The end of the B.B. King song, the Kentucky one. Oh, there's me and same with the last song choices.
Yeah, and not just song choices. It sounds like you go through and use a lot of like broadcast and radio calls. How many of those do you go through or get per game?
Yeah, on Sunday I basically just go through. I download the whole TV broadcast. I download all the radio calls, and then I just basically just kind of go through all the pregame sequences and pick out stuff that I like. Pick it out, leave it out because I know I use them later. And I go through all the big plays and I pick out their commentary and just pick everything out. Because that's the main thing for building up exposition and like telling the stories. You need someone explicit. It's basically creating a narration without having to have a narration. Because people ask me, it's like, oh, do you want a narrator for these? I'm like, I don't like having a narrator. I think it's kind of corny. So I rather use like the actual game commentary to basically be my narrator.
Yeah, especially like a narrator would totally change the tone of these because these are kind of like a documented piece of history rather than like they're trying to promote.
Yeah, it takes away the rawness of it. I always want these to be very feeling. It's almost like a feeling of artificial total access. Like nothing's ever total access. Of course, you guys edit things every day. But I wanted to give the feeling that we're showing you as much as we possibly can. We can't show you everything. We can't show you our play calls. We can't show you us, saying some things that probably shouldn't be put on camera. But we're gonna try to show you everything that we can.
This is what I was fearful of, the timing because of the layoff.
We're gonna at least give you the gist of everything of like what was actually going on.
Every week.
And this is the big thing: showing us struggling. Like, I think people are always afraid of showing struggle when they're doing like these content pieces. It's like, well, what are you overcoming? Why should I care? Like, what, you just were good the whole time? Okay, that's kind of boring. Like, how am I supposed to relate to this? How am I supposed to emotionally connect to someone who is winning? Like, that's not what people do. People
yeah, I mean, struggle makes the triumph even better. Like if you're just showing all the good and then they won, like sweet, they did good the whole time. So like it was a battle.
Coaches at previous schools, they're like, I don't even want to show guys getting chased down from behind and tackled. Like, well, how am I supposed to like make this understanding, man? Like what? It's just highlight, end. Like,
right.
That's just a highlight tape. That's not even a story.
Yeah, your sports center at that point.
Yeah.
The offenses haven't executed. Yeah, Missouri's one of them.
Yeah, I try to use a lot of the in-game commentary. Like a lot of this wouldn't be in a usual mini movie because I cut it for time. But since I knew there was going to be that time limit, I really kind of tried to let things breathe and do way more in depth than the previous ones.
It's a tough watch at this point, but I think someone's going to have to make some sort of halftime adjustments.
Especially since this one's is much more of a historical piece of the game that's going to be with background. So I had to really put everything I could because it's really good. Historically, you don't want that context.
Okay, we got to score by executing and taking care of the football. Do your job, just 1 inch better. One more step. Anything inside, no selfish bull crap. Execute.
We still felt pretty good about this game at half. This was just such an interesting game. It was like we suck right now, but I think we're going to win.
Yeah, it was way different feeling from most of the other games this season.
Yeah.
It was a real defensive struggle or battle.
Yeah.
And Ohio State still had most of their defensive starters playing, and they got a tough defense.
And here we go.
And we're used to seeing Mizzou's offense fly around all game long, and it's just a bit of a battle.
Which is why I tried to emphasize in the first half. Like I didn't, try to skim through it a little bit because how many times can you see a 3-and-out where you feel like, okay, we get it? But like try to emphasize like, we're out of rhythm. You take a little long break. Ohio State's a really good defense.
Drive of the second half.
Yeah, and I think the music really adds to that too.
Yeah, that's why I made more NFL film style at this point because now the drum's starting to kick up. Ohio State's getting some momentum. It's looking a little worrying. The sound effect I use when this ball hits the crossbar, the field goal post, is my favorite sound effect. I just took the biggest bass boom sound effect, just boom. Really emphasizing that with it.
Yep.
Missouri's still hanging in there. Just everybody get going offensively, guys. These fans
trying to emphasize guys like Ennis a lot because even though Ennis didn't play, Hop didn't play, trying to show hey, these guys are still a big part. When he starts getting hot, trying to emphasize the crowd getting back into it. Just trying to give off this feeling like it's a struggle. Like this isn't like the other games. This is just a grind out just inch by inch struggle right now.
Yeah, this is a back and forth.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that they've been running Brady Cook, like you feel like the safeties are starting to creep up. So there's a play action, maybe you can hit something.
Thank you, Howard Richards, with the exposition.
It's 35, 132 to play in the third. Play action fake. Cook has time.
They're always great, the radio guys of Expedition. I even emailed.
Great.
I don't know that. I emailed them before the Florida game, asking if they could talk more about The Rock, because I was going to use that as the basis for the mini movies. Like, can you just give me like an entire exposition intro on The Rock's? So I can use it. He's like, I got you.
Yep. That's like great. That's great that you guys can work together like that.
Yes, and bad. And then then this part is all just callback. It's supposed to be kind of like the story, the entire story arc starting at the intro of Uncut Diamonds all the way to now. All comes down to this point. The fist up. It's all callbacks.
Trailing 3-0 in the Cotton Bowl. And it's hard to believe that he's the first.
Brady gets hit a lot. Where he takes a lot of tough hits.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to put that shot of Theo got helping him back up, because Brady, people got forgot that Brady really got messed up on that play. He stayed in.
Simon, that's going to stay in the game.
It's still kind of a callback to the Kansas State game a little bit.
Yes.
Brady Cook has his team set up 2nd down and 2 as we begin the fourth quarter. We're on 19. Cook takes the snap. Inside handoff. Running left. Schrader to the house. 14.
They tried to bring back that song, but like doing a little bit of a different way.
The Tigers go 95 yards in 8 plays in 4.5 minutes.
Love that shot.
Missouri takes a 7-3 lead.
Biggest play for either team, and now we'll see if
Only scoring after 3+ quarters is a great feeling.
Yeah, trying to kind of emphasize that feeling, kind of feeling like, okay, we're back. Like, this is the Mizzou that we remember. Like, this whole game, we've been struggling, grinding, a little bit of doubt. That song comes back, kind of signifying, like, oh, this is the Mizzou we can talk about all season. We're back.
Yep.
We found ourselves.
Had it in his hands. Chris Abrams drained, ripped it away. Brings up a 4th down.
Yeah, I always try to have a camera on Luther a lot for reactions, especially this game.
Yeah. Position game. I know we just saw Missouri have a 95-yard touchdown.
Just give him a GoPro and a selfie stick and let him have fun.
Let your defense get a stop. The Tigers wanting to put together a sustained drive here. Second and 17. In motion comes Mekhi Miller. Free play for Missouri. Offsides against Ohio State. Fake pattern left side. The release in front of the Ohio State bench. Out to the Buckeyes.
Drake is never that great of a reaction shot, because Drake is always so locked in. So he's always kind of like, oh yeah, it's so cool happening. You look at Drake, he's just kind of like, good. Just let
Schrader bounces to the left side to the 25-yard line. Cody Simon doesn't make that play. Cody Schrader walks into the end zone. A crucial 4th and short. Looks like Missouri's going to go for it. I don't know. I feel like.
So I like, do a longer one this time, because I really could drag these moments out, or I kind of have to rush through these dramatic moments.
Yeah.
But do the music stops where we emphasize audio like that, like having that little huddle where Peter tells Luther about the field.
Yeah.
It's a nice little change of pace.
I really like, the pacing on this drive, because it's when I got to take its time to show all the individual little moments, because that drive was like had all those individual dramatic moments. So the 4th and 1, the Theo catch, to show how much of a methodical drive it was.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
So Purdy with the touchdown reception on a perfect throw from
Oh, I'm sure he was so ready to do that.
Yeah, he was thinking about it. We're taking straight that's every lift.
Yep.
Yeah, and then tongue switch up to the more wholesome parts, because now the game's kind of not in hand, but it's looking like we're going to win.
Impressive back-to-back possessions by Missouri. It's the number 2 defense in the country.
St. Louis should be proud of their kids. Cody Schrader Each of Burton, Brady took Chris Hamilton.
Kind of bringing back a narrative that has been building the whole season of the St. Louis kids going all the way back to the Game of the Dome. Kind of this thing we tried to build up with those three St. Louis kids.
Still don't stop playing defense.
Yeah.
Don't want to get Ohio State. Wait, third down.
Yeah, you can feel a little bit of tension, but like we can do this type of thing right here.
Yeah, like some, it's the final triumphant sequence. I love the simplicity of this one. Jake Johnson got a great shot. Just the
What is fast pressure backside ball comes free, covered up by Missouri.
very cinematic.
Yep.
Canyon Missouri recovered. Joe Moore with recovery. The shades of 2014.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I never noticed that line before, but even watching it back again, I'm like, yeah, this reminds me of Oklahoma State Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, it's great call by Howard Richards and his name's but I'm really mad his name's blanking me right now because he's awesome.
Yep.
Love that shirt.
Did he cry?
3:13 away from it.
I don't know if he did, he was hiding himself from the camera.
Still on his feet to the 40-yard line. Tigers take a knee. Mizzou fans, guess what? Eli and the boys have done it again.
Nice little speed ramp there.
Yeah.
Season.
Funny that shot because the combo people were really stringent on letting us getting us film spots. They wouldn't like letting Morton do us on the sideline, even though we could do that every road game. So then, like, Gordon was holding that camera. He's like, "You need to get shot, like, drink with the Gatorade there." He's like, "You're not gonna let me in." I'm gonna say, "Screw them. I'll like literally hold them up." Go. He ran over there. The combo people tried to stop him. I'm like, "Don't worry about them because there's so much chaos happening. It doesn't matter."
Yep.
Chase of the Blaze did it back in
Take us a little bit.
Nice.
Tommy Taylor. James and the boys did it in 14.
The song is also an Uncut Diamonds callback. Episode 4, the end sequence of episode 4.
Yeah. I was so surprised when I heard "Need to Breathe" on a Mizzou recap video.
Eli Drinkwitz, these Tigers that see that, that hear that noise, and want to prove everybody wrong and add a little bit of fuel to the fire.
Nobody believes us. I believe myself, bro. It's a brotherhood in my seat. State of Missouri, St. Louis, Columbia.
Impressive the coverage you guys got with like 2.5 people.
Yeah, I mean, a nice thing. This is what I loved about being able to do. Like, I like the 10-minute timeline for all 8 ones, but I did like being able to have a minute time limit on this one because I really got to let this play out like a series finale or like the end of the complete movie, where like don't have to worry about editing it, just kind of let it all speak for itself a lot more, which is very nice for a moment like this where you don't need to do that much of editing. Really.
A testament to a wilderness brotherhood. A bunch of guys that have fought through adversity their entire lives and career. We're not blue bloods. We're dirty, hard-working brotherhood that loves each other and fights for each other. We scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. We put our fist up. We said we're not giving in. We're faster, stronger, tougher than you in the fourth quarter. And we got to the lead edge, and we're not going to be denied. And now we're the Cotton Bowl champs. M.I.
Little montage to end this off with.
Yep.
I was just gonna do an ending montage, but like, there's no guarantee after the Arkansas game if we were gonna have another one. So I did the Arkansas one just in case. Like, oh, we could lose the bowl game, and I might still do a mini movie, but we'll see. So this is kind of repetitive from the Arkansas one, but I'm like, well, we gotta do it.
Yep.
Wow. Love that shot. Jake and Gordon are so good. That's why this place, they're going to be just fine this season. These guys are so talented. These shots are so amazing.
So this coming season, are they going to have about the same size of team, about, you think?
Yeah, just about, because Gordon's basically taking over as the main video guy. Jake Johnson's coming over to help athletics. So it's going to be same size team. I don't know if they're going to do specifically called mini movies, but they're going to do something again.
Yeah.
It'll be something of a similar vein that, we'll do storytelling. Might not just do specifically mini movies just because, you don't want, I told them not to call mini movies because you never want to be compared to something previously. You can be doing your own thing. Like, it gives you the ability to do your own thing. Like, I don't want them to be trying to make carbon copies of what I did. Because, that's just like, you're always going to be living in comparison.
Right. Again, great song choice.
Yeah. B.B. King song, call back to the Magic Moment song in Kentucky.
When you think about the future of Missouri, how big of a threat is Missouri?
Again, kind of try to do the ode to the entire series of a lot of the stuff. A lot of callbacks to previous storylines, previous songs, previous bands. They kind of make this like almost like this part when the Stand By Me song plays, almost like the epilogue. You got all the players talking to the camera. Well, just simple editing, just letting everyone kind of get the roster awards and all the characters that we've seen throughout the year.
Yeah. At this point, these guys are like super comfortable with you all. You've been around them for hundreds of hours.
The ninth-ranked Tigers.
It's nice to get like that organic.
Richards and Chris Gervino. I'm Mike Kelly, thanking each and every one of you for listening to Missouri football all season long. Enjoy the off season. Missouri will head back to Como with a Cotton Bowl trophy.
Did you guys go out and celebrate after?
Yes, you didn't get a chance because after a road game, you just get on the buses, get on the plane basically immediately and go home. And by the time we got back, it was 4 a.m. and it just snowed in Columbia the night before, so we're all scraping light. We just came from Dallas where it was like 70 degrees. We were there for a week. Come back that morning, it's 4 a.m. We have to get snow off our cars. And then it was New Year's next day, but like I said, I drove all the way to Ohio basically from there so I could be home for New Year's and then went back a couple of days later. But yeah, when those road games, it's hard because you come back so late.
Right. Yeah. And so, now we've kind of gone through all these many movies. I guess we're going to kind of be wrapping up here in a little bit. You talked a little bit about what's next for you. I guess, what are you looking forward to seeing with this Mizzou team this coming season? And are you going to be following along?
Yeah, I'll still be following along. I mean, the funny thing to me is I didn't grow up in college football. So, I only became interested in college football when I started working in it. So now the teams I cheer for are like the ones I've worked under. And Mizzou is definitely be the one that is going to be my team this year. My girlfriend is an Oklahoma fan, so that's going to make things a little bit more complicated. But I am trying to make it up to that game this year, so I should be back in Columbia at some point this year. I'm going to cheer for him. This year you're returning most of the production. You had so many good transfers like Caden Green, and there's so many more that I'm going to lose my mind for trying to name them all. But it's such a great transfer recruiting class. Chris McClellan, another one on the defensive line. I think you're just going to see just as talented of a team. And I think now there's so much buy-in and there's so much momentum. The only thing we had to overcome last year is we felt like starting the year we were devoid of so much momentum until that Kansas State game. But this year now it's we're hitting the ground running. We've had Kirby for a year. Defense, we got a new defense, but it's kind of still similar scheme-wise and cultural-wise. It's just now kind of just doing a little bit of a switch-up with coaches, but still a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same assistants. So I think you're just going to see basically continuity of last year.
Yeah, that's great. I'm really looking forward to this season, and looking back on some of these mini movies gets me even more pumped up for that first game to get here. These last few weeks are going to feel pretty long for a lot of these diehard fans and myself, and I'm sure you too. And looking forward for what's next. Were there any final thoughts or ideas or anything that you wanted to bring up at the end of this?
I think I just thank everyone that ever watched these things. I never, in a million years, thought these things would catch on the way they did, where I become this little cult celebrity in Columbia, Missouri, or something like that. Something I never thought would happen in my career. I put my heart and soul into these things as I'm sweating just looking at them because, I really would dive. I've always called it mini movie worldwide ed. These days I dive into it. And like I said, I was locked in for days on these things and really tried to show emotional vulnerability that other programs I don't think were doing with their storytelling. So it was a big risk to take emotionally, to put myself out there like that with these ideas. So I really appreciate everyone that embraced them. And I still can't believe that these impacted people the way they did. And every time I still post on social media and the amount of people that respond or say thank you to me or things like that is really, truly touching. So I just want to thank all the fans that ever watched these things.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure I speak on behalf of all the fans to say, thanks so much for all the hard work that you and the team put in on these and creating memories that we can look back on throughout the years and even leading up to this season. Just getting a real good feeling about what the 2023 team was all about. And I think it was a really special team, and it's going to be another special team again this year. And also shout out to the coaches and staff for giving you guys the access that they gave you, because I know, like I said earlier, it's super rare to get that at a lot of places when you're a creative or a videographer.
Right.
And that really kind of just opened the doors to these incredible pieces of art that you guys created. So yeah, just shout out to you and the whole team and the coaches, and thanks again for coming on this podcast.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Just want to say thanks again to Robert for coming on the show. Again, it was an awesome conversation. I had so much fun going through those 4 mini movies. And like the rest of you, I'm so excited to get to this next season and just to see how the team does and what it's all about. And I think these mini movies really give you a good inside look into the heart and soul of the Mizzou football program, and just a look into the leadership of Eli Drinkwitz. And with that, thank you all for listening. Be sure to subscribe to Rock M Plus at the link below. And be sure to follow us on all of our socials as the season is gearing up and coming up sooner. So thank you all, and MIZ.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.